There have been a lot of things to discuss on Hell's Kitchen, which shouldn't come as a shock seeing as how the show has been on for over 20 years. Everyone who's watched the show, from the fans to the bums who quote-unquote make videos, to folk who actually make the videos, they've all had their own turn to talk about Hell's Kitchen and certain topics. Best services, worst services, best chefs, worst chefs, best dishes, worst dishes, best Ramsay insults, worst Ramsay insults. Okay, I don't think that one's an actual thing. The point I'm trying to make is that Hell's Kitchen has had a lot of things to talk about, and many people have made discussion videos talking about aspects of the show, and I'm certain it's going to keep going until the sun burns out and we all freeze to death. However, there is one aspect of the show that's surprisingly gone under the radar, and that is its intro. Starting from the very first season, Hell's Kitchen would set itself apart from many other competitive reality shows by opening up with some of the most over-the-top and wacky intros ever seen, and I love them. These intros were just brimming with personality, hooking you immediately and making you wonder how the hell is this going to relate to cooking. Imagine sitting down trying to figure out what to watch when all of a sudden a show comes on, and the very first thing you see is a bunch of chefs stuck in a pinball machine and presumably dying while fired by Ohio players is the backing track. You probably think to yourself, that's interesting. So you sit down, tune in, and realize you made a mistake because Elise exists. These intros stood apart because it felt like every single one had something noteworthy to talk about. From the themes they have, to something funny a chef did, to especially the fact a lot of these intros foreshadow the fates of some of the contestants, which is something I'm certain no other show has done. Unless I'm wrong, then please give me examples. Unfortunately, starting from season 17, the wacky intros will be scrapped entirely in favor of a more generic one with just as generic music. Then starting from season 19, they straight up said, fuck the intros, we're just gonna speedrun this shit. And voila, no more personality. Have fun, suckers. Anyway, I won't rank every single intro of Hell's Kitchen. Not too much of a criteria this time. All I'm really doing is judging all of these intros based on their theme, whether they have any funny gags, and their foreshadowing. Alright, video time. Alright, let's get this out of the way. Regardless of how you feel about these seasons, whether you like these seasons or believe that having intimate relations with a horde of angry beavers is more fun, there's one thing that everyone can agree upon, is that the modern intros starting from season 19 are pretty bad. Gone are the kooky and wacky intros of previous Hell's Kitchen seasons. Instead, we got an intro that barely even qualifies as an intro. It's just Ramsay sharpening a knife, walking through a restaurant that somehow wouldn't be worse than most of the restaurants on Kitchen Nightmares, and trying to aura farm. It's literally a worse version of the All-Stars and Rookies vs. Veterans intros, and those intros weren't even that good to begin with. I can't even separate these intros because they're literally all the same. What do I use to break the tie? Their font? All the same. It's like trying to figure out if I want to get an injection in my elbow or my ass. Either way, I'm getting a needle stuck in me. Shitty intro. This is literally just Ramsay walking through a restaurant and trying to aura farm while the people making the intro are trying to cover up that Ramsay's having a shit fit. This intro just has no charm or personality, and that'd be bad enough except for the fact this is an all-star season. You expect that Hell's Kitchen, for such a historic season, would go all out and try and make something grand, but no, they don't. It's just nothing. Really, the only positives I can say about this is that the end shot of the veterans is kinda cool, and the fact the season does actually have foreshadowing, believe it or not. It turns out that this intro, because it's such a huge letdown, only foreshadowed the quality of this season. Great! I hate it! This is literally the exact same intro as All-Stars, but has some actual foreshadowing with Mia and Ariel being in similar positions because they're the finalists. Yes, that's really the only thing separating it from All-Stars. The bar is in the toilet. Yeah, looking back at season 1, its intro is not that good. There's some good stuff to note, like the cheesy flame effects, and the bit where Ramsay nods at Michael is a pretty neat bit of foreshadowing, but it's also a very simple and bland intro. The only other things to know is that 1, everyone looks like they have the starved Eggman filter, 2, Jeff is placed unusually high, like everyone's portrait is cut off at Ramsay's elbow, but in Jeff's case he's above it, and finally, the way Gordon stares into the camera like his fajitas came out sizzling. It's really funny. But yeah, season 1's intro, while it is the first intro, it's also one of the more uninteresting ones. Alright, finally, a season with an actual budget. Season 2's intro is serviceable. There's some things to note, like how Garrett's smile scares the shit out of me, and how this is the first of 2 Hell's Kitchen intros that feature chefs just plastered on areas all over the kitchen. I swear, between this and the Gordon Ramsay jump scare, I'm not sure if we're watching Hell's Kitchen or playing Luigi's Mansion but King Boo ran out of furniture. Anyway, it's a serviceable enough intro, but it's ultimately dragged down a lot by the lack of foreshadowing. The closest one I can think of is Virginia being shown last, meaning she's the runner-up, but that's really about it. Okay intro, but I want more. I distinctly remember liking Season 5's intro a lot, but looking back, I don't think this intro is that good. My main issue is that this intro doesn't really have that much energy to it. Most of the intro is it transitioning to other chefs via Rube Goldberg machine, and clearly everyone wants to aura farm. Unfortunately, because nearly everyone's crossing their arms, it doesn't really work, and instead it comes off as everyone failing to coordinate their team pose. And yes, there's some foreshadowing, but some of it feels very... Like, Andrea nearly getting killed by skewers, that I can understand. It foreshadows how often she's up for elimination and how she dodged a lot of bullets later on in the competition. But then there's stuff like Colleen and the Kel representing her passion but inconsistency, and then Seth knocking over a blender by accident referencing how he wanted to look good for Daddy Ramsay. Honestly, these feel like a bit of a stretch. Yeah, it's probably some next level galaxy brain foreshadowing I can't understand, but still. Overall, Season 5's intro is very much unlike this season. Mid. Honestly, Season 3's intro is not that much different from Season 2's. It's got all the hallmarks of chefs being banished being stuck inside King Boo's kitchen, but I'd say it's an upgraded version of Season 2's. It looks a lot more frantic and dramatic, which fits Hell's Kitchen aesthetic quite well. There's also a lot of foreshadowing here, like Aaron and Jen being introduced one after another and them having a factor of 3 between them, and Spaghetti Josh being introduced in Where Else But a Pot, foreshadowing his elimination. Overall, it's a fine intro, only being held back by the similarities to Season 2's, even if I think it's a better version. If I had to point towards a modern season intro that is ultimately the most fine, it's Season 14's. It's got some decent bits like Monique and Cameron getting chased and Krista sinking in quicksand. Plus, there's some neat foreshadowing like how Megan's swinging representing how she's the queen of the jungle, and how Brenda is frantically swatting at a bug representing how Millie came at them from out of nowhere. Ultimately though, I think this intro is just fine, and I think it's mainly because I don't find the jungle theme that exciting. I don't know why, I mean, it's colorful, it's eye-catching, but something about it just doesn't really capture my attention. I think it's a bit too slow for me, not that energetic. I don't know, I just don't find myself enraptured with this theme. Fine intro, theme could be better though. Much like Season 5, Season 4's intro I also used to really like, but now I'm a bit more neutral on it nowadays. I'll give it credit in that it's the first intro to have a bit of a personality, and there's some little bits in there that I like. I like that Craig is still wearing the big-ass chef hat in his intro, Dominic channeling his inner Johnny Test with a whip crack, Matt looking like Sadako crawling out of a well. There's some fun bits here. There's also some neat foreshadowing like Jen turning a dial on the oven representing how she raised the heat, and how Christina calmly dusted her sleeves showing how she didn't fall into the clicky crap because she's based as fuck. That's cool stuff. Ultimately though, it's not that exciting of an intro. It's just a Hell's Kitchen cast, but small. And no, Jason looking like the giant baby from Toy Story 3 isn't going to make me want to carry him. It's instead making me want to put him in the dumpster. Season 8's intro is, it hits something alright. It's definitely one of the weirder intros of the series, and much of that is due to the theme. It's a Gulliver's Travels theme, which definitely feels like it was picked out of a hat. Like, who the fuck was thinking about Gulliver's Travels in 2010? I know there was a movie that came out the same year, but whenever I think about Gulliver's Travels, I just think about all the naps I took because the book is so boring. Also, for some reason TV Tropes calls it a Gilligan's Island intro. Like, how the fuck? I know Raj exists and he makes a number of mistakes, but he's not stranding the chefs on the island. Why is that annoying me so much? The intro's kinda cute though. I like Curtis's dead stare when he's flying the plane, and I love how enthusiastic Raj is during the whole thing. He just looks like he's having a bunch of fun. Also, we gotta stand Trev for once because he's trying to shoot the pedophile, and I think that'll make up for him wanting to shoot Sabrina. Overall, alright intro. God damn it, motherfucker, I hate this season, put me out of my misery, I hate the fact it's up this high. It's another weird intro, and I argue it's the weirdest one out of the bunch. At least Season 8's intro was, bit less weird. Like, imagine you see this intro for the first time and you're left wondering what the hell the show's about, and then imagine your disappointment when you realize the show isn't about a bunch of people fighting shitty CGI Iron Giants, but instead about the blue team losing a lot and me losing the will to live. That being said, this intro is kind of fun. It's the first intro we've talked about that I can easily say has some solid energy to it, even if most of it are the chefs just fighting the robots. It's also neat to see JP get some particular focus since he returns this season. It's also got some solid foreshadowing, like how John shielding himself represents how much of a survivor he is, and how Nedra blows out a blowtorch showing off her sassy personality. Overall, a solid intro, which is the nicest thing I will say about Season 11. I think out of all the intros in Hell's Kitchen, Season 10 has one of the better concepts. The idea of having a Vegas-style magic show feels really fitting for Hell's Kitchen, especially considering how much Vegas is mentioned in the show. Come to think of it, this intro would have been perfect for their Las Vegas season, especially since that season has a Chris Angel cameo. There's some cool bits here like Clemenza levitating Don while having his tongue out. Seriously, what is it with Clemenza sticking his tongue out all the time? And Roy's getting the horny treatment after sniffing that waitress. Also, with Tavon doing the card trick, I like to imagine what he's internally saying. And with this trick, I shall disappear from these cooking classes with your money. Fuck! Give me my wallet, you sad walnut! Also, it's so strange to see Christine in such an unimportant part of the intro, being put into a box before being replaced with professional testicle hater Danielle. Know how important she later become down the line? It's just really weird. There's also foreshadowing like how Robin dodging the knives represents the close call she has, and Justin being sawed in half representing his big push halfway through the competition. Overall, good intro. Okay, I'm gonna be honest, there's one particular reason why Season 15's intro is up this high. It's not because of the Mount Everest theme, or some of the neat foreshadowing like Alan and Danny arguing over directions highlighting their egos, or Hassan getting blinded with a map highlighting his early potential before flaming out. No, the main reason is because a lot of people die. Seriously, there's like so many deaths, it's kind of funny in that morbid way. Ashley falling off a cliff and breaking her neck, Eddie dropping Manta to her death and getting mauled by a Yeti, Ariel and Mark getting crushed by a snowball, and finally my favorite, Joe dumping a bunch of gasoline to incinerate Kevin and Vanessa and laughing about it. He's just pure chaos and I love him, even if he's going to get 10 to life for that. Outside of that, I mean, it's a good intro. Not great, but again, this intro has a body count, and I like that. You know, if there's ever an intro that makes me think these intros were just an excuse to fuck around with some props left in storage, then Season 13 might be the intro. I like to imagine this intro was filmed after production went to Party City. Admittedly, this intro is a bit light on the foreshadowing, with really the only ones sticking out being JR and Katie running away from shitty CGI tigers representing their non-combative natures, and Latasha throwing a tomato at JP, representing JP being the first eliminated while Latasha went on to win the season. Lack of foreshadowing would be enough to move this down the list, but it's balanced out a lot by the theme. I actually really like the theme of this intro. The combative nature of the Coliseum works surprisingly well with the cutthroat competition of Hell's Kitchen. I especially like Ramsey as the Emperor and Brian just one of the spectators. It's just really funny to look at. I also like this little shot at the end where the chefs are facing off against one another, and I like the details the red team versus the blue team. Nice continuity, although it does make me wonder why Frank was murdering Sterling. Oh wait, I know why. It's because it's an allusion to the fact that Frank has killed and will kill again. Also, Santos fucking kills Sade and it's probably the most interesting he'll ever be. Overall, solid intro, one that's way better than it has any right to be. You know, without any context, putting anything from Hell's Kitchen 16 in the top 5 of any good list will get you shot around these parts. For as much shit as I plan to give this season, and trust me, it's going to be an outright miserable time, I'll concede and say I actually like this intro. The slow motion angle is a neat change of pace, and it really helps highlight the usual chaos seen in Hell's Kitchen. There's also quite a bit of foreshadowing here, like how Devin getting hit with the pan represents how poorly he was treated, Gia tossing the pan aside highlights her elimination service and her general attitude, Pat smashing the salmon foreshadows how Coop delivered undercooked salmon, Matt and Johnny tossing food highlight their shitty attitudes, which reminds me that I have to choose which one is worse, and god damn it I'm being reminded how much torture that season is gonna be. I'd rather find something nice to say about you. Good intro. One that's way better than the season it's attached to. Okay, I'll get this out of the way quick. The main reason why Season 9's intro is up this high is because of the pinball theme. It just works well, and I go as far as to say it has some of the best energy of any intro. It kinda reminds me of a combination between Season 4's and Season 15's intro. Season 4 is because everyone is small, and Season 15 because everyone fucking dies. Like, yeah, not as many as Season 15, but this pinball machine was out for blood. Steven dies, Chino dies, Tommy I think dies, Jason does his best Flat Stanley impression. I think before Season 15 came out, this was the intro of that biggest body count. I also really like the foreshadowing here, especially because it foreshadows several specific moments. Brendan looking to a pot foreshadows how he lied during service, Elise pushing Will foreshadows how she nearly made him quit, Jason being hit and rolled away highlights his medical elimination, and I like to imagine his laugh foreshadows the evil pork chop line in Season 12. I think this has some of the strongest foreshadowing as a whole if you ask me. Really good intro, I just like the others a bit more though. You know, I'm actually a bit surprised it took them until Season 7 for them to do an actual Hell intro. Like, it just seems so natural. Instead we got Hell's Kitchen but Smurfs, Hell's Kitchen but Circus, and Hell's Kitchen but, something. Season 7's intro is, in my opinion at least, the best of the hell-themed intros. It's just really interesting to look at, and I think it fits the tone of the season very well. I love the feel of this intro as well. It'd be super easy to go overboard and make the intro look too gloomy, but the combination of the energy of the cast, as well as the decent color scheme, make this intro really stand out to me. There's also a lot of really neat foreshadowing, like Ed wiping out on the surfboard, highlighting his early frontrunner status before wiping out. There's Scott holding the whip, indicating his poor leadership skills. There's Siobhan being crushed under a meteor, showing how she's competent, but she got pushed around a lot. There's Nilka controlling fire, showing how she's one of the more competent chefs of the season, and how she's a fire mage apparently. I also like that sous chef Scott's an imp. It's just really funny, especially when he sticks it in Andrew's meat locker. Overall, a really good intro, and I go as far as to call it a better version of Season 3's intro. It's only fitting that a season as good as Season 6 gets an intro worthy of it. I love this intro so much, guys. It's so good. I love the carnival theme. It's such a cool looking theme, just brimming with personality. And it's especially impressive because this is the first intro that doesn't entirely focus on kitchen stuff. It allows for some really funny gags too, like Joseph being declared weak and Louis being trapped in the orb of confusion. I also really like the ending where Robert is blown into flame and it leads to the logo. It's just a really good way to end things off. Oh yeah, Season 6 technically has two intros, one with Robert and one without him. Instead of Robert blowing the flame, it's Dave. Admittedly, I'm not sure which one I prefer more. On one hand, the Robert one has a better ending, but on the other hand, Dave's introduction is kinda mid. I guess it's counteracted enough by the fact it's foreshadowing how easily he knocked back everyone else. Oh yeah, there's some solid foreshadowing here too, like Van laying on the bed of knives foreshadowing his temper, Suzanne on the tightrope indicating she's going to be close to danger a lot, Amanda is Kevin's magician assistant and she screws him over in the finals. It's neat stuff. Between the cool theme, the gags, the fact there are two intros, and the foreshadowing, it's easily one of the best intros. That being said, it couldn't hold a candle to the best intro of all. And the best intro of Hell's Kitchen belongs to... Yeah, it was practically no contest. Season 12's intro essentially ran away with this. It's one of Hell's Kitchen's most unique intros, being themed after a noir-esque comic book, and they go all out on this one. They have the dark coloring, the sound effects, the text boxes. It feels like a lot of effort went into this one, and I say it's the coolest looking intro based on vibes alone. There's also a few gags I enjoyed, like Simone screaming at Richard only for him to chop some carrots, Scott going, "Say what?" at the explosion behind him, Chris getting bonked on the head of a rolling pin, and something I'm certain no one has pointed out, JP Gargoyle. I just love it. And if that wasn't enough, this intro has insane amounts of foreshadowing and highlighting. Anton getting hit on the foot by Sandra, highlighting his eventual time on the red team, Jason having a stroke of luck and getting back into the competition, Joy missing the briefcase, foreshadowing her quit, Chris getting hit on the head of the rolling pin, foreshadowing Pizzagate. Even the theme itself is foreshadowing. Nearly everyone is involved with some illegal activity, highlighting how cutthroat this season is, and even the comic itself foreshadows Stan Lee's appearance, which is awesome. I don't know what else to say. Everything about this intro works. It's a truly phenomenal intro that not only has the honor of representing one of Hell's Kitchen's best seasons, but it gets to stand at the top of the mountain of Hell's Kitchen intros. So yeah, that's every single Hell's Kitchen intro ranked. Have to say, there were quite a few placements that even surprised me. I did not expect to talk so positively about seasons like Season 11 or Season 15 or especially Season 16, even if it's just their intros. It's probably going to be the nicest thing I say about them, to be honest. And yeah, that's it for me. If you like this video and want to see more, feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. EternalOpossum, out.